Greeting everyone. This is Ahmad Muradi with my colleagues across the world. I have my dear colleague Madi from Bucharest, Romania.
Hello.
I have Mr. Vijay from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And I have Mr. Ricardo Canchola from Orlando, Florida. And yours truly is still communicating from good old Isabela, Puerto Rico, where we are connected all together as panelists. And today we decided to do something unique to talk about some of the features of our own technologies, as we obviously bring certain guests and we express some of the educational matter. We find also the use of the technology that we have built very useful for companies, enterprises, businesses, health, law, and so forth, that they have different use and applications. Today, one of the core objectives that we wanted to focus on was on traditional streaming and the use of the traditional streaming inside these rooms. So you can picture where you can have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, millions of these rooms available, and then be able to stream to these rooms where casts with their peer and colleagues can attend and watch the show. And those content obviously comes from your own rights management. Some of this content could be broadcasting, let's say, from Facebook or from YouTube or from other CDNs that we have worked in the past. We bring one of the largest spectrum of experiences in different CDN because we are one of the oldest company who has started the process with the streaming business. Actually, we founded the foundation of many of these bit rates and variation that companies use is founded on our patents. So we understand that, and also we want to share that because the layer that you have in here as overlay with the background picture that is on your right-hand side, these pictures can be transformed to different streaming. So with that in mind, we're going to go give you some exercises and ideas how things can work. The first one that we are going to do is called Live in 30 Seconds. And Live in 30 Seconds, actually, it's an ability to be able to provide the protocol that we require, accommodating different settings. So let's see if we can make that change in real time for you. And this is so we are going to refresh our page here to get the video edit and everything else going. I think we register ourselves and log in so we can accommodate those changes. And I am going to go to the background settings and be able to make changes that we see the slides transform into live in 30 seconds. Live in 30 seconds was one of our original technologies that right now competes with many streaming companies. And one of the things that associated itself with companies like Livestream that now is owned by Vimeo, and Ustream that now is called IBM Video. These technologies obviously work in streaming side as what we call traditional streaming. Traditional streaming, one problem that it occurs is you have latency. So if you're doing a broadcast from a site, from a point of entry as a venue, for the guests to be able to watch and see that, it's really a natural. In this case, for example, you see we put live in 30 seconds, but there is no streaming going on because we are already broadcasting. But if there was an event in here, then this event would be broadcasted. So then on the site that you could see potentially where we can essentially be able to demonstrate or show on the background where Maddie can click on the icon on the background and put the whole page in there, and you will also see there is a Twitter account. So the guests interactively can communicate with your services through Twitter while they're watching the event. So this feature was one of our original features that we had built from 2008 until now. So it is not something new to us, but we have been using it for many years. What we decided to do is take the live streaming from what we call unicast, which basically you have one live streaming going on from a point of entry, or you can call it live cast, into multicasting capabilities. So when we are going to change things to more features, for instance, we will be able to demonstrate to you that we now can bring all of a sudden more videos. So in this presentation now we're going to show you how you can stream 4 live videos in the background. And so you see that the room changes automatically. Automatically we picked up few point of entries. These point of entries are from different parts of the world, as you can see. For example, from Lausanne, Switzerland, from New York City, from Bucharest, and from Netherlands. So these obviously show you live streaming going on at the same time. And Maddie, for example, she can click as a viewer to any of these videos and enlarge them. And then when we are referencing this, then you can see that. Or example and use of this becomes very powerful. I give you some of the ideas of how we use this live streaming in the past from what we call multicast into different settings. Some of our clients have been companies like Stolichnia and other beverages and so forth. And one of the things, for example, we did is we had a Stoli night where we had to put cameras from different nightclubs from different parts of the world where we would be serving the brand. So different bartenders were talking about different recipes, ingredients, and promoting different kind of Stoli's drink. And obviously colleagues that they would come in and engage, they would be able to do virtual bar hopping and be able to accommodate from going one location to another location, engage, interact, and really have a social fun. The other example that is important work with some of the European partners are being able to put 4 cameras in 4 corners of stadium. Let's say you want to watch a football game and you have passionate colleagues that they all share the football or different sports season depending on your preference. And now when you have 4 different point of entries that is being streamed, so one, then you have with peers, different viewing and different real-time experiences. So this kind of things becomes real crucial in building this kind of settings. Now these videos that you see right now, along with our videos, you're looking at approximately about 7 videos being streamed from the room. So we can see the power and the capability that depending on the quality of your bandwidth and quality of devices that you utilize, you have the ability to send from what we call LQ, low quality, to SD, SD plus, or HD, HD plus, and 4K, even 8K, and so forth. So one of the areas that we are showing you as an example in here, that depending on your encoding capabilities, you'll be able to do this. Now, this content that you see here is broadcasted, for example, from YouTube. But if you have different CDNs, such as Akamai, Limelight, Level 3, Kaltura, Bitmoving, and various other startup companies that they all come into media streaming space, in these rooms, we have built over 101 different standard players that it automatically, through our technology that we have built in the past called IVA, automatically recognizes the bitrate, the bandwidth, the settings, and so forth, and plays them. Excuse me. While we are going through the exercise, now we're going to talk about changing the setting again into more video. So with this case, right now we're going to push the boundaries and show you with the 6 webcam and see if we can accomplish the same goal. So in a matter of a few minutes, again, you're going to see the background screen changes and automatically you'll be able to demonstrate 6 videos coming from different locations. Some of these videos you can pause, like you see in here, so it requires users invoking the video that they decide. The other one is basically automatically playing. So those kind of settings are really the way that the page is set up for you. And then your video, depending on your decision. So if we wanted to go into a train, like Germany Railroad, Maddie, you can click on that and then demonstrate, for instance, how the video automatically plays from the streaming side. So obviously, we are more focused on showing you what the room does. Okay, so now you can see we have just increased the pipe, and now you got 6 plus 4, we got close to 10 video games. So this is, again, another example of how things can work in a real-time streaming from multi-point of view. Now, this kind of concept are extremely important because we use this to connect banks, financial institutions, and other organizations that they need to collaborate from multiple locations and be able to provide human resource, training, product education, and services together. Now what we're going to do now, we're going to change that again into a video, and we're going to see how that behaves. And then that gives you some general idea again that our power of our technology, it's really based upon your creativity and subject to the bandwidth, then you can accommodate. So now the screen should refresh in a few seconds, and we will be able to see a new set of experience coming from the user's experience. And now you have seen, or all of a sudden being displayed, over 8 videos from different parts of the world. So if you're a world gazer, now we can show you different parts from snow to the beach. You can look at different climates, or you can have different events. And these events can be multicast events. A lot of times, if you look at traditional streaming servers or services, they give you one stream. What we are trying to do is change the game. We are trying to give you 2 ways of looking at this window. One is that you can use your streaming services that you already use and integrate it into this. So you have best of both worlds, where you can bring the panelists, the content, pause, format, rewind, and do all kinds of activity and talk about it. This becomes very valuable for client orientation, for product education, for service training, and for broadcasting on various ideas such as corporate services. On the other side of it is that you can capture the entire screen as a screencast and broadcast it through your own streaming services that you have. So all of a sudden you have the ability of having the entire room connected to your CDN or your service provider and using one point of entry that you have as live streaming, and connect this room and stream it all the way to them. And then the audience can see that. Now, there are times that you have challenges. These challenges comes what we call latencies. Latencies comes from the fact that when you stream on a traditional format, from the point of inception, where you encode, to the point of delivery, it takes seconds. That's why we call it L30, because we have seen, based on our experience, based on some of the best formats that we have put, depending on the location, point of entries, and many variables, encoding, format, bit rates, etc. They all have challenges, but you face latency. This is not suitable for real-time classrooms, for example. In here, my colleague, for instance, who works very heavily with the K-12 and children and students in the state of Florida, and with many colleges, and teaches students real-time about acting, about dancing, about behaving, and so forth. He has the challenge of not having the latency, because if the students are here and the teacher are being streamed, and then the teacher receives that information 30 seconds later, that is not an effective communication, because that communication gap creates inconsistency, and it just doesn't look professional. Because if you're acting and somebody watches your lips, right, and your behavior, they want to instruct you immediately. So real-time changes that latency into bringing it into less than 23 milliseconds. And that is something that I'd like my colleague in here, Ricardo, to expand on it a little bit and tell you with some of his experience that he has had during the classroom sessions where he had to resort into real time as a way of classroom. Ricardo?
Yes, Dr. Moradi, let me pause some of these videos. Give me a second. So I can use my bandwidth and CPU.
You're doing well, no problem.
Okay.
You're fine. You have no problem. Go ahead.
Okay. That is a very important aspect that you have mentioned, Dr. Moradi, as I'm pausing these videos to dedicate my CPU and my bandwidth to my communication. Something that is always very important to mention is the need of the machine and the equipment that is at the producer level.
Yes.
And I think I just froze myself.
That's okay, we can hear you. Just carry on the conversation,
yes.
Please.
And it is very important. In this case right now, I'm using...
Go ahead, we are listening to you.
Okay. At this point, I'm using my backup computer because my Mac is on the shop, and the CPU on this computer is limited. So just to make reference to what you're mentioning, it is very important not only to have the bandwidth, but to have the right equipment to broadcast.
Correct.
And also the latency relates to the equipment. We don't manage the equipment the user has. So it's very important that the user test their equipment. We have the ways for people to test their equipment to find out if they're in the receiving end, they are capable to maintain this massive amount of information being transferred into their devices. So it's something very important that we have to mention. It's not that the technology is not functional, it's the device that we don't control. When it comes to real-time communications, we are working in many aspects of the real-time engagement between the teacher and the student. And that is critical to have the perfect communication between the teacher and the student. So it's not only that the technology is actually proven and functional, but it's just a matter that in the communication process, when you have a message and it goes to the receiver, and the receiver has to retrofeed the information back to the sender of the message. And with real-time communications, that is something we've been able to accomplish. And basically, move forward with the future of education, not only in the performing arts, we're exploring venues now in the world of languages, as we call it in IAPAs, uniting the world with the performing arts. But the performing arts, for instance, opera, you are going to be singing in many different languages. So why not to start learning English, start learning Russian, start learning German, real time, and engage with students and people alike that are interested in the same topics and the same languages as you are. So that is something that Netstairs has been able to accomplish, and we look forward to continue working on these products.
Thank you, Ricardo. One of the key elements that obviously Ricardo mentioned is extremely crucial is understanding that the equipment that you have, we call it garbage in, garbage out. Okay, so it's the input and output that it really matters. So with having a better piece of equipment, then you can get a greater quality of definitions. And if you have lower quality, these are adaptive. So we can adapt to lower quality of service with different bit rates and bandwidth, and then at the same time we can enhance and increase it. So one of the things that I also wanted to share with you is we have done many events with Mr. Vijay presenting Asian, American, Chinese entrepreneurs, for example. We have done many streamings, and one of the things that always been on the streaming, the latency, is that people want to engage with their constituents. That's why one of these rooms, as Maddie can click on the Twitter account on the sidebar, you see that these rooms are equipped with your social media. So if you want to engage in real time from your audience or take questions and answers, you don't need to go anywhere else. You can just click on that icon, and that opens up the sidebar and allows you to see that. And so Vijay, what's been your experience about the difference between real-time streaming and traditional streaming?
Basically, it's the bandwidth that is in play, and in real time, we deliver in real time as we speak. Like right now, I always get frozen when I come in for this broadcast because I know what's happening. We're delivering without any editing, and it's in real time. There's no latency versus what they do in streaming, where they give you a latency period of about 20 seconds. So it's called near real time. So what we do is, as we speak, is what we have. We don't have time for editing, and we don't have time for anything else. So the most important part of real-time communications is the infrastructure must be correct. Right now, currently, as we see, everybody is in the transition period of upgrading themselves and moving towards the 5G. Real-time communication is becoming more prominent. I've been involved in real-time since we started from 2G. So we work on any conditions. I know our technology works on any conditions. It doesn't matter if it's 2G, 3G, 4G, we still work. And if we are going to 6G, we still may work. And the future is real-time, whereby everybody has to be mindful and build all the vertical services around real-time communications, creating a network operating center and heart of your operations. So that is very important, getting your digital transformation and your digital transition correct. 99.9% of market players don't get it right, and that's when the trouble starts. So having said that, over to you, Dr. Murari.
Thank you. One other notion that it's important when we are doing this kind of things, because we constantly do these kind of activities for different clients in different parts of the world, we need to manage things in real time. So what we've done is basically build another setting, what we call rehearsal room. These rehearsal rooms are extremely effective because when you invite guests, you don't know in real time if their webcam works, if their microphone works, if their bandwidth is sufficient, and you really don't want to compromise the quality of your service. So when you assign this assignment to a program manager, the program manager who's assigned as a moderator, so to speak, that they are responsible for broadcasting the event. In this case, my colleague Maddie, she's doing the broadcasting, audio, guests, and I'm the host and I'm speaking. Then one of the things happens is when we invite other guests and we want to make sure there is a crew that we can set up or have them available that they can go to the rehearsal room. In the rehearsal room, we can test everything and make sure everything is worked behind the scene. And then when that person is paged, then the moderator simply clicks and transfers that guest from the backstage to the front stage. Just like if you were physically having an auditorium and you were introducing somebody from a podium and introducing a guest and a panelist to come over and speak, you wanted to make sure the quality of service and everything is okay. So the rehearsal room plays an important game to ensure the quality of service and transparency is taking place, and then you can transfer them back to production room, like in this case, our digital media room 2222. So with that, we wanted to give you some idea of what we call about unicast, livecast, multicast, and simulcast. Now, simulcast is a project like, for example, we do with interactive TVs or smart TVs, because a lot of colleagues that they are clients that they do streaming live from their own TVs, they want to do a simulcast sometimes because of an event. So these rooms can take the same encoding that they are doing from their own TV network without changing anything and placing it right in here, obviously with rights management and under HTML5 and under HTTPS compliant, because we only work with security. And another notion is because we are a security-oriented company, and for 18 years, we've always worked on confidentiality. We don't sell data. We always sell software, and that has been always our business. We believe data belongs to the clients. We have no rights other than delivering the data, the analytics, the information that they receive to the client so they can navigate and understand. So one of the key challenges in here is that you look at this kind of capabilities, and these abilities gives you the ability to bring one stream or multiple streams. In the next session, we are also going to show you or teach you how to do virtual reality. You can do this with drone, okay, and go up there and then do a streaming from there, and then be able to stream it right in here and have your guest and audience to rotate 360 degrees. You can use standard players that is already integrated in here, such as YouTube virtual reality or Facebook virtual reality. So your encoding techniques, depending on what you wish to do and how you wish to accommodate, these all become parts and parcels of where Netstairs collaborates, understands your requirements and needs, mixes either the old traditional streaming with the new streaming called real-time communication, or simply replaces it, like in case of e-learning or telehealth and things kind of applications that it requires face-to-face communication, collaboration, and broadcasting services. So with that in mind, we wanted to thank you for attending again today at our session. We wanted to show you the power of Pixel and how it behaves as a backdrop, that this backdrop, along with the constituents that they can come in, be able to provide you with the real-time streaming from different locations. And now you have to think about what you can do with the creative mind that you have and how you wish to deploy that inside your telling story. Because at the end of the day, all we do is video. For that, stay tuned. We'll see you next week. And we want to thank you for attending and listening to our conversation and our presentation. Have a wonderful day and enjoy your week. Ciao for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, team.